You will make it through. The fitra is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah by your side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. You will make it through. The fitra is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through.
Ina alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Akida class, and tonight we're going to go over, I was planning to complete all of chapter 6 tonight of diluting Wala Wal Bara, but I'm just going to do just the first part of chapter 6 because I think that it would have been too much to go over the two categories of allegiance. I think would have been a bit too much for you tonight. So we're just going to do the first 3 pages of chapter 6, which just basically summarizes the intent behind Wala Wal Bara, or the intent behind allegiance and disassociation. How if we as Muslims would incorporate these principles and this guidance from Allah into our everyday lives, then life wouldn't be as bad as it is today. We Muslims Islam wouldn't be so corrupt, and Allah in turn wouldn't have to send the calamities that he's sending upon us. This war, we're hating each other, we don't get along, we don't know our religion, we have inherited the problems of the non-believers because we have become like them. We don't love each other for the sake of Allah like we should. We hate each other. Remember Shaitan, he said, when he was so angry that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam succeeded in spreading Islam throughout the peninsula of Arabia. He was so upset. He said, I'm going to cause them to hate each other. I'm going to divide them. I'm going to cause them to dislike each other. And he succeeded with that. I mean, we don't like each other. We don't have this brotherhood, this sisterhood that the companions had. The amana, the trust, that's the most hurtful thing that all of us experience. The trust is gone. The amana, the trust. We don't honor the trust that our bodies have over us. How many of us go to the doctor when we're sick, for example? We don't keep the trust of the body. On the day of judgment, your body, our body, my body is going to testify. It's going to say, oh, Allah, she didn't take care of me when I was sick. When I was sick, there was medicine that you created that could have been of help. She refused to go to the doctor to take the medicine that you sent down that could have aided me, could have helped me, Allah. Instead, she decided to play with herbs, and I got worse as a result. So the amana, the trust of the body, we don't take care of our bodies. The trust, we take in. How many of us have pets? I have a pet. I have cats. We have to maintain the trust, the anima of the pets. You have to water your pet. You have to feed it. You have to care for it. You have to change its litter box. You have to brush its fur. You have to make sure that the cat is comfortable, that it's cared for. That's a trust. You took it in. You decided to make it a pet. It's going to testify either for you or against you. We don't maintain the trust. We're all guardians over our families. Our children. That's the sad thing. The way our children are growing up today, us women, you sisters, our primary responsibility are our children. We're so busy working, trying to make that money so we can live the Kardashian lifestyle. We want to have the nice car, and we want to travel, and we want to have the nice clothes, the nice bags, the nice sunglasses, and we want to be women of affluence, and we want to be educated, and I want to be a career woman. But who's paying the price? Our children. We're putting our children in schools, and we're neglecting them, and our children are growing up uneducated about their religion, their purpose. That's the amana. The amana. Our children have no manners of their religion, of their knowledge of their religion, and Allah is going to hold us accountable for that. We're breaking the amana, the trust. Look at the brothers. How many of you brothers have broken the trust? You're the provider, you're the maintainer over your women, over your wives, your children. You don't have time for your wives, you don't have time for your kids, but you got time for social media. Like Brother Muhammad Ziada was speaking about, social media is destroying the families. We have inherited the problems of the kafir. The number one cause of divorces today is social media. We don't have time to spend with our wives. We don't have time to spend with our children, but we got time to TikTok. We got time to Facebook. We got time to Twitter. We got time to go on other people's pages and comment on their videos and on what they put on their Facebook pages, what they share on their pages, but you can't call your wife and see how she's doing or check on the kids. The time, that 2 seconds it took to put a check mark on another woman's post, those 2 seconds you could have spent with your woman. Have we thought about that? That's an amana. That's a trust. That other woman ain't your responsibility. That other woman, the check mark on that other woman's page, you ain't held accountable for her. She's nothing to you. She's not a mahram. She's nothing, but you're held accountable for your wife. You're held accountable for your daughter. You're held accountable for your grandkids. Those 2 seconds you spent with that non-mahram woman, Allah is going to hold you accountable for that. And he's going to say that was 2 seconds of time you could have gave to your wife, who you are held accountable for. You broke the amana with her to give it to a woman who's nothing. And the same with you sisters. The 2 seconds it took for you sisters to put a check mark on a post of a man who is not a mahram to you, he's not a relative of yours, he's nothing to you, he's a nobody. Those were 2 seconds that you could have taken to spend with your son, with your daughter, with your husband, your grandson, your brother, your father, your real relative, who Allah is going to ask you about. The kinship. The kinship is under the throne of Allah. And remember, guys, on the day of judgment, we have to cross that bridge. On that bridge, the Prophet Muhammad will be standing on the other side of it. On his right will be the trust, the amana. And on the left will be the kinship. The amana is going to plead out against all the trust that you broke and demand that you fall off that bridge. And then the kinship is going to be pleading out. So can you imagine us walking across that Sirat bridge? You got the kinship, your uncle. I didn't hear from her, but she found time to put a check mark on some man who was no mahram to her page. Those were 2 seconds that she could have messaged her old uncle to ask how was his leg doing. You know, I had surgery. And then the Amina, yeah, I'm her son. I'm her daughter. I'm her grandson. I wanted to go to the park. She was always working. She never had time for me. She had to write a report for her job, or she was too busy with her job. But she found 2 seconds to go on TikTok and put a check mark on a man's post who was no relation to her, no mahram to her. Can y'all see that? Throw her off the bridge, Allah, and Allah will have the angels pull you off that bridge into the hellfire. Isn't that scary? When we think about it like that, we'll make better choices on how we're spending our time, because we're doing a lot of haram things as Muslim women and Muslim men today. And that's why Allah has this war here. We're wasting, what did the Prophet say? We're wasting our time with haram things. This internet is destroying us. You know, our children are paying the price. Our grandkids are paying the price. Our husbands are paying the price. Our wives are paying the price. Our soul is paying the price for the choices that we're making. And death can come to us at any moment, and there's no second chances. We better think. We have to think, people. Wala, our allegiance is supposed to be to the religion of Islam, not to Facebook, not to TikTok, not to society's norms, not to what society dictates. Remember, the Prophet said, if what we do, if what we say doesn't have anything to do with Allah, then it's not important. You want to put a comment on TikTok that has to do with somebody's that ain't no kin to you, it's not important. Anything. It ain't got nothing to do with Islam anyway. Hey, I got grandkids. I got to try to save my grandkids from the hellfire. I ain't got time for that. I got some grandkids, man, that I need to focus on. Lost one, I don't want to lose the other ones. We got to start thinking like that, guys. Allah says in the Quran, save your soul and your family from the hellfire, because on that day of judgment, when we go across that bridge, the Prophet Muhammad and the Amina and the kinship will be standing there on that other side, demanding their rights. And if we didn't give them their rights in this world, we're going to be hooked off that bridge into that fire. It's powerful. And that's real. Those hadiths are all Bukhari and Muslim. That's real. All right. So that's why I've been preaching for the past week about how we have to work on that allegiance and, having allegiance with each other, developing that love for each other as brothers and sisters in Islam, like the Prophet told the companions when they migrated to Medina. He established the first Islamic state, and he worked hard to bring the companions together. They were from different tribes, different backgrounds. They were a warrior race of people used to fighting each other, but he brought them together as one under the umbrella of Islam and taught them to want for each other what you want for yourself. Do unto others what you want them to do unto you. If we would think like that, we'd make better choices. When you look at another Muslim, imagine that Muslim being you. Would you want someone to do that to you or to your child or to your father or to your mother or like I told my grandson today, to your grandmother? When you look at another kid, that kid has a mother, that kid has a father, that kid has a grandmother, that kid has a grandfather, brothers and sisters just like you. Would you want somebody to talk about your grandmother? Would you want somebody to say bad things about your grandfather? No. Then why would you say something bad about his grandmother or his grandfather? Do unto others what you'd want them to do unto you. If we would look at each other as if they were us, then we treat each other better. Like I told you, brothers, would you want your wife doing that? Then why are you doing that to somebody else's wife? Like I told you, sisters, would you want somebody doing that to your husband? So why are you doing that to another woman's husband? We have to think like that. And then we'd be a better nation. We would stand close together in the mosque then. We would stand shoulder to shoulder, ankle to ankle. And we'd have stronger communities. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to reiterate again the true meaning of allegiance and disassociation. And before I reiterate the meaning, I want to give you guys a brief quiz just to see if we're still together in the meaning of this concept. Let's see. I made the quiz very simple today because I don't want to spend an hour on the quiz. I just want to spend 5 minutes. It should just be a 5-minute quiz. Now, we were going to cover 62 to 66, but it's just going to be 62, I think, to 64, 64. We're just going to do the first 2 or 3 pages because I think it was too much. So let's start off first with this quiz, just to see if you guys understood what we talked about yesterday. El-Wala, which refers to allegiance. El-Wala, it originates from which of the following? Does this concept originate from love, or does this concept originate from hate? Let me see your answers. Does allegiance, having allegiance, does it originate from love or hate? Having allegiance for Allah, for the Prophet, for the believers, and the religion of Islam, does it originate from love or does it originate from hate? What do you guys think? From love. You guys in Zoom agree? I'm getting different answers on YouTube and LinkedIn. I said love. Okay, mashallah. Good job. Good job. Everybody on YouTube. Yasmin said love. Sister S said love. Marard said love. Good job. Mashallah. Allegiance. That originates from love. And love comes is a strong emotion. And this is why, we find it so hard to show that allegiance. It's hard to show love for someone that you don't know. Okay, it's hard to show love for your sisters in faith when you don't really know these people. You know nothing about this person. But wala, love, allegiance originates from love. And this is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught the companions. We have to love each other. Put aside all those petty differences. Put aside those misconceptions. Put aside all that other nonsense and just work on loving each other. Work on seeing the good in each other. Throw out the window these bad thoughts about each other. Overlook the fact that that sister over there, or like he told the people, you people are laughing. You're making fun of Ibn Masud. They made fun of Ibn Masud because he had little legs. You people are making fun of him because he has skinny legs. Look at the good in Ibn Masud. You want to ridicule Abu Huraira. You want to make fun of him and his mother because they're alone. Look at the good in them. Put aside that silly stuff, and instead look at the good and develop love for these people. What about this? El Bara, disassociation. Disassociation, it originates from which of the following? Does it originate from hate or does it originate from love? Where does
hate?
Hate.
Hate.
Okay, mashallah, good job. Disassociation originates from hate. Exactly. I'm going to disassociate from this thing or this person because it's bad for me. It's something bad. I don't want to be in the company of something that's bad, something that's dirty. Oh my. And our Prophet taught us that to disassociate from that which is bad, to disassociate from that which is dirty, disassociate from those who lie, disassociate from those who cheat, disassociate from those who steal, disassociate from those who are two-faced, disassociate from those who gossip, those who backbite, disassociate from those who instigate, from those who debate. Nowadays, everybody wants to debate. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, of all the people that Allah hates the most are those who go around debating the religion. Allah hates debaters. Disassociate from them. Allah hates nakedness. Allah hates triflingness. Allah hates arrogance. Allah hates stinginess. So we should hate what Allah hates. Allah loves cleanliness. Allah loves truthfulness. We should love what Allah loves. El Wala, have allegiance to what Allah loves. El Bara, distance ourselves from that which Allah hates. That's why we don't sit in the company of those who commit sin. That's why we stand up for what is truthful and right. We enjoin what's good. We forbid what's evil. That's why, Sister Amira, you cannot sell a cross. Even if you have a cross that's worth $2,000 because it's made out of pure gold and it's decorated with tiny diamonds, you cannot give it away, nor can you sell it because it represents something that contradicts La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. So we don't sell it, we don't give it away, we throw it away. You understand, Amira? So even though you have a cross that's worth $500 because it's made of pure gold and it's made of diamonds, no, you cannot give it away, nor can you sell it. you burn it, melt it down to ash, because it totally contradicts the oneness of Allah. Okay? All right. Good job. Allah hates those who associate partners with him. So we hate it too. So burn that cross. Okay. What about this, guys? We talked about how, as Muslims, we love for the sake of Allah and we hate for the sake of Allah. That entails loving the things that Allah loves, hating the things that Allah hates, but we have to be moderate in both. What does it mean to be moderate in your love for Allah? And give me an example. Who can explain what it means to be moderate in one's love, and give me an example? What does it mean to be moderate in your love, and give me an example? Okay, Yasmin said to be balanced. Sister S said to not be extreme. Okay, give me an example. Give me an example of a person being moderate, being balanced or not extreme in their love. Give me an example. Give me an example.
For the extreme, don't be in prayer all day long and not do your housework as a woman. Not doing your housework, or you stay in prayer all the time, or you do all your housework and forget about prayer.
Okay. What do you guys think of her example? You know, you love Allah so much, so you're going to spend the whole day praying to Allah because I love you so much, Allah, but I'm not going to do no housework. I'm not going to deal with my children. I'm not going to cook dinner. I'm just going to spend the whole day showing my love for Allah by praying to him. Is that an example of being moderate? Or is that an example of not being moderate? Okay, was that Lucy? Lucy, was that an example of being moderate or not being moderate?
That's an example of not being moderate, because you put too much emphasis on, sometimes you put too much emphasis on your prayer life, and then you put too much emphasis on your housework.
Exactly. She gave a beautiful example of not being moderate. We don't want to do that. And there's a lot of people who follow the Sufi sect, and they're too extreme. They'll spend all night long praying and reading the Quran, but then they can't wake up for Fajr. So guess what? They lost the reward, because Allah doesn't tell us to spend the whole night reading Quran, but we have to make Fajr. That's an obligation. Okay? So that's an example of being extreme. Give me an example of being moderate in your love. Give me an example of being moderate. She gave a beautiful example of being extreme.
I can give an example. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
An example is, you can remember in the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, there's a time for, laughing, there's a time for prayer, there's a time for, spending time with family. And that's the balance, not doing it too much.
Yeah, give me an example though. Give me a real life example of something. Give me an example of something happening. Give me a real life example of being moderate in your love.
My children, for example.
Show me. Give me an example. There you go.
Okay. For example, I love my daughter, and she might complains she wants me to stay home with her all the time, but I have to get up and go and take care of my bills. So I give her the tools, I teach her obligations, how to do SWAT, how to do everything, right? But I have to still get out and do it to do what I need to do, so I don't have to get to a desperate situation where I have to depend on a dog.
Exactly. And this is a big thing. A lot of us as sisters here, as women, we have to show moderation in our love with our kids, our children. We love our children as women. Our love is our kids, but we have to learn to strike that balance to, to not love our children more than we do Allah. Some of us have put our kids before Allah. I know one sister, for example, she asked me, this is during Ramadan, she said, Sister Laila, I want to give in charity, but I love my daughter. And I feel like any extra money I get, if I give it in charity, I'm taking away from her. That's money I could have spent to, do something extra for her. I told her that's Shaitan telling you that. No, 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 no. Don't allow your personal jinn to get in your head like that. This is how our personal jinn plays with us. He'll make you think that that extra money that you gave for the sake of Allah, it was money that you could have gave to your kid. No, be moderate. Let me give you guys another example. We all love the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How do people overdo their love for the Prophet today? What's a big, big problem today that people do?
Celebrating his birthday.
Exactly. And what's an example of what you do with your kid today? We love our kids. How do we go overboard with our kid like they do the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Celebrating their birthday.
Birthday parties. You have to let your children know we don't celebrate birthdays. I love you, but I don't have to show my love to you by worshiping you, because that's what celebrating a birthday is. Okay? That's what it means, celebrating the day you were born. Because you were born, that doesn't call for a celebration. You had nothing to do with the day you were born. Allah decreed for that to happen. So I love you, but you're not a God. I don't have to worship you. And this is something I want you guys to put in your kids' head, because this is a big innovation that's going on. We're not moderate in our love with our children. We're showing our kids, this excessive love by making them believe that because they were born, we have to worship them with this birthday stuff. We got to break them out of that and break ourselves out of that too. We don't want to transgress the limits of Allah in our love, not for our husbands, not for our children, not for ourselves either. A lot of us celebrate our own birthdays. This is haram. And I want y'all to remember, just because we change the name and call it my born day, you ain't fooling Allah. You're still celebrating yourself. You're still worshiping yourself. We don't worship ourselves. We have to be moderate in our love. Okay? What about this? This question here. Let me put this down. What does it mean to be moderate in your hate, in our hatred? Give me an example of being moderate in your hatred, and make it relate to something tangible, something real today. What does it mean to be moderate in your hate?
you can hate an aspect of someone that Allah hates, but that doesn't mean you go around destroying them. For example, you have a sister that loves to gossip. You hate that part of them because Allah hates gossip and slander, but you don't go around, harassing her, calling her names, and harassing her family. You just distance yourself from that part of her.
Exactly. Good example and good answer. Exactly. I hate the fact that this sister gossips. Okay? But I'm not going to allow my hatred of that aspect of her to cause me to transgress the limits. And now I'm going to slander her character, try to destroy her, try to take her out, and all of that. Or another example, I do not like non-Muslims. I don't like non-Muslims because they don't believe in Allah. But does that mean I go around killing all non-Muslims? Does that mean I go around blowing up buildings because these are non-Muslims? No. I just hate the fact that they don't believe in Allah. But that doesn't mean I transgress them, that I mistreat them, that I show injustice towards them. And this is where we have to understand, our hatred is not personal. Our hatred is supposed to be for the sake of Allah. For the sake of Allah means it's not personal. Our love is for the sake of Allah too. That means it's not personal. I love you for the sake of Allah. That means I love the things in you that Allah loves. I love your dedication. I love your honesty. I love your intelligence. I love your devotion, but it's not personal. I'm not in love with you. Okay? I hate the fact that this sister gossips. I hate the fact that that sister can be lazy. I hate the fact that that sister is forgetful, but it's for the sake of Allah. It's not personal. I'm not going to treat her badly. I'm not going to, she's still my sister. It's not personal. If we keep our personal attachments out of things, we would treat each other better. If we kept our personal feelings out of things, we wouldn't go around hurting people. And that's what we can't do as Muslims. Our prophet told us that would be our downfall as a nation, because the Christians are better at that than we are. That's one of the 6 reasons as to why the Christians will always be the majority over us. They're better at that than we are. We're too emotional. We put our personal feelings into things, whereas the Christians can be more businesslike. We have to work on being more businesslike. We end up imitating the Christians and we take on their problems and we're worse. That's why you look at our marriage and divorce situation. Our divorce rate is high. Our children are more messed up than the Kafir kids are. When our children do drugs, they're doing it worse than the Kafirs. Our problems in marriage with the sex out of wedlock is worse than the Kafirs. The adultery that's going on with us is worse than with the Kafirs. Everything we do is worse, because we're too emotionally deranged. We have to work on this stuff. All right, let's see. What other questions we got here? Oh, that's all the questions. All right, so tonight what I'm going to do is just reiterate in this chapter. This is chapter 6. What Dr. Karim does is he reiterates in this part of the chapter 6 again the linguistical meaning of allegiance and disassociation. Let me put my, I'm trying to fix my little screen here. I got 2 computers going and I want this one. Okay, here, this is the one I want to look at. So let's go over this again. In Islamic law, Wala, it refers to demonstrating love and support for Allah, for the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and for all of the believers on earth. It doesn't matter where they're from. It's not just for Arabs. It's for non-Arabs, anyone, no matter where they live on this planet, who testifies to La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And also, this love extends beyond ordinary emotional attachment to include helping that person if that person is in need. Also, like Dr. Dramali talked about, giving advice to that person, advising him or advising her. Also, showing compassion. And that's a big one, guys, because what we do today, we are quick to give advice, but we don't show compassion. We have to give the compassion too. Like I was saying the other day, give the advice and then give up some honey too. Give me some advice and give me a gumdrop. Then give me some more advice and give me another gumdrop. We're not given the compassion. We just advise. Too much advice turns into criticism. We got to put some sugar to it too. Okay, so, this love includes helping one another, advising one another, showing compassion to each other, and big one, protecting each other's rights. That's the amana, the trust. Protecting each other's rights, the trust. We cannot advise, we cannot assist, and then disregard the rights that we have over each other. Y'all get what I'm saying? How can you give me advice and you violate my rights afterwards? You broke the trust. How can I take from you when I can't trust you? Just like, how can I trust you if you won't help me? See how these all play together? How can you earn my trust if you won't advise me? We have to do all of this together. So this el-wala, the love that we have for each other, it has to include all of these things, not just one of them, not just two. It has to include the advice, the compassion, the assistance, and the protection of each other's rights, all four. This is what forms that allegiance between us. And this allegiance, in turn, will encourage us to approach our relationships and align our actions with our love for Allah and our love for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is why we're failing today as a nation. This is why there's no love in our communities. You look at the masjids around the world, we don't have this in the communities because we don't have all four of these emotional attachments. You might have assistance, you might have advice in the mosque, but there's no compassion. There's no protection of rights. Or you may have protection of rights, you may have compassion, but there's no advice given. There's no assistance given. You have to have all four. Why is it that our marriages are ending up in divorce? The same thing. There may be protection of the rights. There may be advice, but there's no compassion. There's no help. Or there may be help. There may be compassion, but there is no protection of the rights. There is no advice. We, in any relationship, be it marriage, be it community-wise, or whatever, mother-child, it has to be all four. Everybody understand that? So, El-Wala, or allegiance. Allegiance encompasses a variety of practical implications that influence the Muslim's daily conduct and all of our daily affairs. And these implications inspire us to promote unity and to extend a helping hand and to defend the rights of our fellow believers. This can be within the home as a family and outside the home as a community. This allegiance also, it brings about a sense of brotherhood and a sense of sisterhood amongst Muslims that transcends ethnic and racial and national boundaries. It encourages us as Muslims to view each other as brothers and sisters in faith, which creates a close-knit religious community. That's what those original companions had. They were brothers and sisters in faith. Like the prophet said, my family are the Muslims, no matter who they are or where they're from. He said, the Quraysh may be my blood ties, and I have the tie of kinship to them. He said, but my spiritual ties are stronger than my blood ties. Also, allegiance requires helping each other, guys. And this assistance consists of not just material support, but also giving emotional support to one another. And also that spiritual Islamic guidance to each other. And by supporting each other, this is how we strengthen those bonds of sisterhood, those bonds of brotherhood. That's why I'm telling you sisters have to start taking your knowledge of Islam from women. There is no reason for any of you sisters listening to me to be sitting up on YouTube listening to these brothers. First of all, these brothers are not teachers. They're not teaching. They're lecturers. They're imams giving a lecture. They're not teachers like I am. They're imams, okay? You need to, plus, what can they do? What type of emotional support can they give you when you are a female and they are a male? They can't give you the emotional support that you need, because the emotional support that many of you sisters need, and it requires a specific closeness. And those men are not your mahram. They can't give you that closeness because you're nothing to them. You are not their wife. And many of you sisters have husbands. And those of you who don't have husbands, you still cannot get that attachment from them. You can only get that emotional support from another woman, because another woman knows what you're going through. Number one, we know how you feel. We can help you. We can advise you. We can help you get over the humps where those brothers can't. They don't know what you're experiencing. Dealing with them is going to lead to fitna. And Allah says, do not put yourself in situations that will open the door to fitna, women. You sisters got to start taking your knowledge of Islam from women. And there are enough women here that teach Islam that there's no need for any of you to go to these lecturers who are male. They don't have time for you anyway. The way this world is messed up, and the way the men have deviated away from Islam so badly, these brothers need to focus on the men in the community. You sisters need to learn from women. Okay? We have to stop all this opening the door to Shaitan. And by the way, I'm a woman and I know you sisters are playing game anyway. You women are playing game anyway. Stop playing the game, because all it's doing is biting you women in the derriere. And you sitting up making videos with your text messages and your phone calls because you got your heart broke. I mean, I'm sick of it, but you opened the door to that. Stop playing games, women. So, true allegiance, it requires helping each other. Okay, and it's our job to be there for each other. We have enough female counselors. We have enough female psychologists. We have enough female doctors. We have enough female nutritionists. We have enough female psychologists that there's no excuse for none of you sisters to be running to these dour brothers for any advice on nothing. It's we help each other. We can strengthen the bonds of sisterhood if you just come to us sisters for that help. Okay? Also, allegiance emphasizes unity within our nation. As Muslims, we are encouraged to collaborate and resolve our conflicts peacefully. We are encouraged to work for the community's overall improvement. By embracing unity, we become a potent force for positive change. And I want to say again, this change can occur if we stay within the Islamic guidelines. That's the problem. Like I said, this is 2025. We have Muslim doctors who are female. We got Muslim psychologists who are female. We got female everything, female scientists, female everything. But we sisters have to stay within the guidelines. Stop the free mixing. Stop the free mixing. Stop the free mixing. You women should go to the female Muslim doctors. You sister needs to go to the female Muslim counselors. I got a granddaughter. One of my granddaughters, she gets counseling. She has a nice female Muslim counselor. That sister's great. Sister went to school, got a master's degree. Counseling teens. She said, Sister Laila, why is it that the Muslims don't send their girls to us? The Kafirs do. The Kafirs send their daughters to the female counselors, but the Muslims send their daughters to the male counselors. How backwards are we? We got female Muslim counselors. Again, by embracing unity, guys, we can become a potent force for positive change, but we have to stay within the Islamic guidelines. Stop the free mixing. Women need to stay with women. Men stay with men. Sisters, you need counseling, you need guidance. Forget the dour brothers. Go to the counseling women, the psychologists, the PhD Muslim women who can help you. We can help you. We're just as educated. And we ain't looking for no fame. We ain't LGBTQ either. All right? Allegiance encourages a sense of accountability towards each other. As Muslims, we are encouraged to refrain from causing our fellow believers physical, emotional, and psychological harm. But again, this requires staying within the Islamic guidelines. No free mixing. This includes avoiding slander, backbiting, and unjust conduct. Unjust conduct, no free mixing. Allegiance also encourages us as Muslims to protect the liberties of the believers. This includes assuring that as Muslims, we freely practice our religion without fear of persecution, without fear of discrimination. As Muslims, we are encouraged to advocate for the rights and dignities of all Muslims by championing justice and equality, again, within the guidance of Islam. No free mixing. Leave the Dawah brothers alone. Get off of social media Dawah imams pages. They're nobody. They're just Dawah imams. Get on the women's pages that can help you. Now let's talk about al-bara, disassociation. Disassociation entails distancing ourselves from all people or groups that oppose Islam or engage in activities that contradict our teachings. Muslims are required to disassociate ourselves from those who seek to harm the community while maintaining our allegiance to Allah, to the religion, to his prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like the other day when I'm doing my class, we had the non-Muslim lady came in typing horrible things about our prophet. Banner. When they come into my stream, typing horrible things about Aisha, radiallahu anha, my mentor, my hero. My hero is Aisha, radiallahu anha. Y'all ban them up out of here. I'm not going to have nobody talking about my hero. Okay? Whereas al-bara, it means that as Muslims, we show our love and support for Allah and his prophet and all the believers. Anyone that comes between that, anyone that tries to oppose that, we distance ourselves from that. And this is how we maintain unity. This is how we maintain compassion. This is how we maintain justice for each other and ourselves. This will motivate us to forge strong bonds of brotherhood, strong bonds of sisterhood. This is also how we help each other, how we defend the rights of one another. This is also how we reject opposition, and this is how we strive for unity. And by performing all these deeds, we fulfill our obligations to Allah. We also pave the way for a harmonious, compassionate society based on love, allegiance, and support. So again, these are just summaries of, again, the linguistic meaning of allegiance and disassociation. And again, it's all about getting back to the Sunnah. You know, getting back to the traditional Islam. One thing about 2025, whereas the Sunnah has become forgotten and abandoned, we do have a lot of women who are educated in the ologies, the psychologies, you know, the philosophies and teen, like to lay out the sister here where I live at, because she's a counselor for my granddaughter. Like she said, Sister Laila, what is it? The Kafirs, they bring their daughters to us female psychologists. They ain't gonna have their daughters with no male psychologists. But the Muslims, why do they walk past the female psychologists and take their daughters to the males? I told her I'm gonna talk about that in my lecture today. No,